Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Locks Don't Lie Weekend Preview Show. I'm your host, Tony Betts. Before we get to Tony Nascar and Tony NFL, why don't we go over our betting weekend that was? All right, weekend. We ended it negative, though, with Kevin Harvick completely screwing us here in the final restart of the NASCAR race. Cannot believe it. Minus 8 units in NASCAR and just one under 500 for the NFL. But we finished the week positive as our big bets and plus money bets hit for the weekend in the NFL. Like I said, overall negative weekend, but we're not going to dwell on that. It's time to move on and find some winners for this week. Let's welcome on first Tony Nascar. Tony Nascar, step on in here. Rough week last week. As I just said, Kevin Harvick completely screwed us as we were looking just fine through stage 2 and 3, looking like we were going to cash out right no matter what, till that old fuck Harvick happened. Yeah, Tony, I got something to say about that stupid fuck Kevin Harvick, all right? This isn't the only time he's done this to me in my life. Hit it.
Line farther down the racetrack, and we see the 6 of Trevor Bayne, and right here is where the controversy comes in. Is Kevin trying to get out of the way?
I fucking hate Kevin Harvick. But we'll move on from that stupid fuck old man Harvick, Tony. We got a double header in NASCAR racing this week. The round of 8 kicks off for both the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, and we are live from Las Vegas. Fun fact, my first race as a young lad was at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I remember it very, very closely. Michael Waltrip crashed in that race, and Matt Kenseth won. And I remember walking out of that race, looking at these Matt Kenseth fans happy that he won, wondering, why the hell are there Matt Kenseth fans in the world? Anyway, I digress. Let's move on to the Xfinity Series, Tony. As we take a look at the previous race raced here at Las Vegas earlier in the year, it was dominated by Noah Gragson and won by Ty Gibbs. And that kind of just gives you a little foreshadowing on what the entire year was going to be in the Xfinity Series. Junior Motorsports and Ty Gibbs neck and neck while everyone else just tries to keep up. It seems like the gap has been closed a little bit as of late, but it might be too little, too late. You're never fully out of it with the playoffs, Tony. As you can see by these playoff standings right here, any of these bottom 4 drivers can win and make it a little nervous here for Justin Allgaier and Ty Gibbs. These next 4 races are going to get very, very interesting. Let's pop up the odds here behind me for the Xfinity Series race at Vegas. And if you look at this bullshit that they have posted at the DraftKings Sportsbook.
Look, what the fuck is this? I know it's not my word.
Ozzy.
I'm a great fucking analyst.
Ozzy.
Is it
things have not been going well, as you know.
You have a drinking problem.
It's 2 weeks in a row that they're giving you terrible value on the Xfinity Series. 2.5 to 1 on Noah Gragson, 3.5 to 1 on Ty Gibbs. I mean, hell, they got Trevor Bayne at 6 to 1. I mean, I get it. I was going to bet Trevor Bayne coming in this race. He looks fast. But 6 to 1? I mean, come on. Give me some real odds here. This is not Formula One.
1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. The lights are still on and Princeton is done.
This is NASCAR. I don't know what I'm taking out of these favorites. We'll have to see in the official picks section what I can bring myself to, what my odds are even posted at. But plus 250 for Noah Gragson, plus 350 for Ty Gibbs. I have no idea what to take, but just know Junior Motorsports and Ty Gibbs will be dominating this race. Maybe I'll take a look at some long shots like Brandon Jones. Maybe I'll take a look at some long shots like Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill. Maybe see if we can get some craziness. Maybe the favorites wreck each other, and then it's those guys who just hang out the top 5 all race long can cash us a long shot ticket here. I do like some of those long numbers on Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed, but I'm just not sure out of who the favorites I can take quite yet this week, Tony. Good stuff there, as always, for the Xfinity Series, Tony. It's unfortunate what they're doing with these lines these days. What do you got for the Cup Series, though, this week? Another round of 8 at Vegas. Cup Series round of 8 is going to be crazy. We have 6 of the final 8 drivers here, 4 outrights that we have had going into the preseason or just posted throughout the year to win the championship. I'm super excited to see how these playoffs turn out, as we've got 4 races remaining in the schedule. And if you pop up the points behind me here, it's going to get very, very interesting. Everyone but Chase within 11 points of each other. This is going to be a very, very tense couple races here for these 7 guys. I believe we hit the outright to this race earlier in the year. Alex Bowman at, I think he was around 20, maybe 25 to 1, probably like 15 or 16. Who knows where I grabbed him at. Ended up getting him. He ended up coming back in that race and getting us an outright W. Shout out to Alex Bowman for helping us start out our season strong. Unfortunately, doesn't look like he's going to be racing this week. And it's been a long time since we've raced at this track. This was our first 1.5 mile track that we raced at in the next gen car. We have seen a lot of improvement by a lot of teams since then, specifically Toyota. Toyota seemed like they were going to be god-awful at the 1.5 mile tracks, and they have really stepped up to being probably the fastest program at the 1.5 mile speedways. They have got speed at these high-speed 1.5 mile tracks, and when you're looking at data for Las Vegas, you really want to take a look at the high-speed 1.5 mile tracks, especially tracks like Kansas. So we'll be taking data from there, and you saw those races were dominated by the 23XI, specifically the number 45 car. Kurt Busch won, then Bubba Wallace won. We're going to take that into effect. I think those Joe Gibbs guys are going to be super fast this week, and you take a look at the odds behind me, so do the sports books. Denny Hamlin up at the top. You got MTJ right here around 10 to 1. You got Christopher Bell at 8 to 1. I really wanted to put some money down on Christopher Bell this week. I think I still might, but there are some drivers down under 10 to 1 that I do not think are going to stay 10 to 1 or above by the time qualifying is over with. And the most important driver in this is Kyle Busch at 12 to 1. This is the most surprising number I've seen. Sure, Kyle Busch is out of the playoffs and he's out of Joe Gibbs in a couple races, but it's still Kyle fucking Busch. 12 to 1 on what should be the fastest team at the race and one of the most talented drivers in the field. Kyle Busch will not close anywhere near 12 to 1. I bet he closes around 8 or 7 to 1, and if he gets the pole, he will be one of the favorites. Kyle crashed in practice earlier in the year at this race, and he had to race a parts car, came from the back, had a long pit stop during the race, spun on lap 43, and Kyle Busch still finished in P4 with a prototype parts car. Give me Kyle effing Busch at anything above 10 to 1 before practice and qualifying, Tony. And then a super long shot all the way down at the bottom. Let's go on Chase Briscoe here. At these type of configuration racetracks, Chase Briscoe, the last 3 races, has the second best average finish of 7.3. I don't think Chase Briscoe is going to close at 30 to 1. Chase Briscoe has been suspect speed all season after winning that early race at Phoenix, but I do like the 30 to 1 number on Chase Briscoe. I believe that's worth some value on a sprinkle. Otherwise, Tony, you see the incredible speed here by Ross Chastain on the high speed 1.5 miles. You know we're going to have to take some Ross Chastain, especially since he's above 10 to 1, but it's really going to be about those Gibbs guys this week and who's going to come out with the speed. Yeah, Tony, some great insight there for the Cup and Xfinity Series. Thank you so much. With only 4 races remaining in the schedule, I'm only going to see you here for a month. I appreciate you stopping by here, Tony. Let's keep the show rolling. Let's move on to Tony NFL, as I'm sure he's got some winners to preview for us this week. Tony NFL, step on in here. Pretty good week last week. 1 under 500, 30-31-1. Finished positive 7 units. Hopefully we can keep up with that hot streak that you're on. And Tony Nascar doesn't throw away all our money like he did last week. What are some games you like this week? Yeah, Tony, 2 matchups I like this week are involved in my bet of the year. A bet of the year, Tony? Oh. All right, go ahead and preview it for us. Yeah, Tony, that's right. I've got a max play bet of the year that we will get to at the very end of my segment. But first, let's go over the first game in my bet of the year that I love, and that's the Jaguars-Colts. Tony, I love the Jags at anything plus money. I grabbed 2.5. At the time of recording, it looks like there's still 2s and some 1.5s out there. I like it anything plus money. 2.5, 2, 1.5. I got the plus 115 on the money line. I love the money line. I think these Jags are going to win outright. The Colts are putrid. They are the worst team in the National Football League if you go by advanced metrics, or even if you're just sitting down on your couch and watching the football game. The Colts are god awful. The Jaguars are number 7 in total DVOA, and the Colts are number 32. Colts, I can't say it enough, are downright awful. And Doug Peterson has these boys in Jacksonville playing. Disappointing game last week. I expect a good bounce back this week. Buy low on the Jags, sell high on the Colts, who barely got by last week somehow on Thursday Night Football. Give me the Jags at plus money, Tony. You're right, Tony. That Colts team is god-awful. What's that second game you want to go over? Yeah, Tony, the second game I want to highlight in the second game involved in our bet of the year is going to be the Bills-Chiefs, what I think should be the best game on Sunday. Thankfully, it's at 4:25, so most of us can watch that on Red Zone as we're watching all the rest of our bets. Hopefully not too pissed off from those 1 o'clock kickoffs. I faded this trend a couple weeks ago. I took note of it when it lost, and I said, I'm betting it no matter what until it loses. Patrick Mahomes as an underdog, 7-0-1 against the spread. The dude just cashes tickets as an underdog, and a 3-point underdog at home against the Buffalo Bills. I get the Buffalo Bills are good, and they're, like I say, your Super Bowl favorites for a reason. They are on fire right now. They have a lot of key guys out on defense, and Patrick Mahomes is going to take advantage of that, unlike the teams that the Bills have been facing recently. Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Tremaine Edmonds, and Christian Benford are all questionable for this game. All defensive stars for that Bills team. I'm looking at the Chiefs at plus money, +3, and I even grabbed a little bit of that money line as well, Tony. But the bet of the year is a Tony teaser. You guessed it. Teasing up the 2.5 of the Jags, teasing up the 2.5 of the Chiefs. Give me Jags, Chiefs, +8.5 each, -120 for the teaser of the week. We have 4.8 units on that, and that's going to be our bet of the year. Hopefully we can start out 1-0 and continue our hot streak from the last couple weeks. That's all I got for you this week, though, Tony. I'll see you next week. Good stuff there, Tony. I am so excited for that 4.8 unit max play. I can't believe we're even getting one. Usually you're just a 1 unit better, so I know you're going to be absolutely sweating in your boots during those 2 games. Thanks for stopping by this week. See you next week, Tony. Why don't we move on to our official picks section of the show. Before we get to that, if you enjoyed what you saw, please give this video a thumbs up and make sure you hit that sub button so you don't miss another preview show from Locks Don't Lie. These come out every Friday to preview the gambling weekend, and then every Saturday and Sunday, just as a reminder, we have our live betting sweat out streams where we sweat out every single one of our bets that we placed all Saturday, all Sunday leading up until Sunday Night Football. Stop on by, chat it up, and sweat out some bets with us. Otherwise, go over our Saturday card here. So we're starting up at the top. We have Auburn +14.5, Iowa State +17, over 51 in Penn State, Michigan, UMass +17 against Buffalo, Tennessee +7.5 against Bama, Charlotte +24, Kent State +8, and a little sprinkle on that money line as well. Under 44 in Syracuse, NC State, Michigan State +7.5, LSU +3, Florida State +3.5, Stanford +17. Give me Duke +7 against UNC with the Fighting Coach K's, as we will move on to our NASCAR bets for this weekend. And as you can see, we have 6 bets over the weekend, 3 in Xfinity, 3 in Cup that we were able to bring ourselves to. Let's go over them here. Tony ended up fading the favorites, going in on the long shots here with Brandon Jones, Sheldon Creed, and Austin Hill. All 3 of these guys, you can see he has half a unit on these 3 drivers to add up to 1.5 units on the Xfinity Series. As we're going to move on to the Cup Series here, you see his 3 drivers he talked about earlier. Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, and Kyle Busch grabbed each of those drivers for a full unit, as he's got 3 units on the Cup race, 1.5 on the Xfinity Series. Hopefully we got a good weekend as we move on to our NFL Sunday. And you can see here, we've got a stacked card of bets. Quick programming note here at Locks Don't Lie. We will be at the Miami Dolphins Minnesota Vikings game, so we will not have a live stream on Sunday to react to our card. Hopefully we've got a good NASCAR reaction to some winning tickets, and we got the Minnesota Vikings bringing it home for us in what we hope to be a low-scoring game, as we have the under 46. And Miami plus 3.5. Give me the field goal and a hook. As these Minnesota Vikings, this 4-1 record is a little suspect to me. You look at their wins, they really haven't beaten anybody, and their defense is not very good. Third string quarterback and all, does not matter. The Minnesota Vikings don't perform well against backup quarterbacks anyway. Give me the 3.5 with Miami. Also, plus money on Kirk Cousins throwing an interception. He's had a lot of dropped interceptions this year. I like the plus 122 on that, as we'll move on to the rest of our games for the 1 p.m. slate. New England plus 3, Atlanta plus 6. In that game, also give me Jeff Wilson over 1.5 receptions for plus money. Pittsburgh plus 9. We stan a rah-rah Mike Tomlin spot, and you can see those trends for week 6 dogs right there. It's going to be a lot of dogs on this card this week. We love when puppies are barking. Hopefully they're barking here in week 6. We've got New Orleans plus 2, Baltimore minus 5 against the Giants. Then you can see I can't make up my mind with this Packers game, so we'll take the under. And then I bought out at 7.5 when the Giants popped up at 7.5. So we'll just eat the juice on this game. You see right here we have Jacksonville plus 2.5, Jacksonville plus 115 money line, and we have them with Kansas City plus 2.5, and also on the money line some big bets for Tony NFL on that Chiefs game. I know he's nervous, as we'll also take the over Patrick Mahomes rushing yards. And for Sunday Night Football, give me the Eagles minus 5.5. Then to close it out, let's go over our 6-way round robin underdog parlay. Like I said, the trends are good for puppies here in week 6, so we are going to hammer the puppies in week 6. We got a nice little round robin and 6-way parlay set up between these 6 puppies right here. Hopefully we can get 4 out of the 6 to cash. Best case scenario, all 6 are cashing, and I am freaking out on my drive home from Miami. Otherwise, the only thing that's left is our bet of the year, 4.8 units on a teaser through the key numbers of 3 and 7. We're going to take the Chiefs line from 2.5 to 8.5. We're going to take the Jags line from 2.5 to 8.5, pair those together in a 6-point teaser. Minus 120 is what you're looking for. Anything more, and it's just not worth it. But getting through those key numbers of a 3 and a 7 on teams that I believe have a very good shot at winning outright this week, we'll put a max bet 4.8 units on that. And then there you go. That's the entire lock list for this weekend. No action tonight on college football. We'll save that all for this weekend. Appreciate you guys stopping by for another episode of the Locks Don't Lie Weekend Preview Show. I'm your host, Tony Betts. May the winners be yours. Locks don't lie.